As the end of the year approaches, it's always fun for me to go back and look at what my favorite movies of the year have been. I'll admit, 2025 started out kinda rough. There's been more than a few stinkers to release this year, as well as movies that simply just didn't hit the way that I thought they would. Thankfully, 2025 turned out to be a pretty incredible year for movies. This year marked the long-awaited return of several legendary filmmakers. It saw the debut of a few very talented, fresh faces and broadened my theatrical horizons even further. However, at this point in the year, I usually tend to think my top 5 or even top 10 is a lock. Sure, there's films like Avatar, Fire and Ash, as well as Marty Supreme still on the way, both of which I have pretty high expectations for, but in general, my top picks of 2025 have stayed mostly the same. This changed with Wake Up Dead Man, the latest film from Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson continues to be one of the most interesting filmmakers working today. He's got a relatively small body of work to examine, but Johnson's approach to storytelling is refreshing every time I dip my toes in this pool. As a firm defender of The Last Jedi, I will always go to bat for whatever Rian Johnson spits out. I think this middle chapter in what ultimately would turn out to be an embarrassing misstep for the Star Wars brand,
no one's ever really gone,
is really fascinating and rewarding in a way that nothing else has been from Disney in like a decade. People often talk about how Disney films don't look or feel how they did 10 or 20 years ago. While there are exceptions to this, of course, Disney certainly isn't cranking out quality blockbusters like Pirates of the Caribbean or Tron Legacy anymore. Heck, even weirder, floppier movies like The Lone Ranger and John Carter feel completely on another level when compared to the modern day slop we are subjected to, like Tron Ares and the Jungle Cruise movies. There is a lot to be said about The Last Jedi, good and bad, but the simple fact of the matter is that Rian Johnson made Star Wars feel fresh and exciting again. I don't care if you think the holdout maneuver is dumb, it's not. I don't care if you think Luke's arc is bad, it's not. But I don't care. And I don't think Rian Johnson really cares either. Say what you will about the man, but he knows how to write characters and stories that feel 10 times as compelling and complex as anything else coming out at the moment, at least when we're talking about mainstream films. This is most evident with his smash hit murder mystery, Knives Out. Johnson struck gold with Detective Benoit Blanc and his keen ability to solve strange, peculiar crimes. But it's not so much the whodunit as the howdunit that Johnson is so concerned with. The original Knives Out is a fun time, not because the central mystery is anything groundbreaking, but because Johnson knows how to balance and manage audiences' expectations. There's a push and pull with Marta that keeps you on your toes throughout the entire film. It's no surprise to me that the original Knives Out turned out to be such a hit, though I don't think anyone expected it to turn into an entire series. I didn't plan on making a video about Wake Up Dead Man, the third movie in the Knives Out trilogy, series, I don't know what you want to call it. I had pretty low expectations for this movie for a number of reasons, at the top of which I just really wanted to avoid being disappointed. I was not the biggest fan of Glass Onion, the second film in the Knives Out franchise, for a variety of reasons. I think it's immediately clear to anyone that this movie was created under the Netflix umbrella. It's got that look, it's got that feel. Visually, it's pretty flat, and technically, it's a little boring. It's incredibly disappointing that due to Rian Johnson's deal with Netflix, the Knives Out sequels are shut off from theaters and are meant to be at-home viewing only. Glass Onion definitely isn't all that cinematic in the first place, but it would have been cool to see it in the movie theater. I also don't think the ensemble cast is that strong here. Janelle Monáe is great, as is Ed Norton, but Glass Onion feels labored in a way the original Knives Out completely avoided. When we got our first look at what would become the third Knives Out film, I got pretty excited. Josh Brolin? Haley Spaney? Thomas Hayden Church? You're kidding, come on. This cast sounds too good to be true. And the film is led by Josh O'Connor. Alright Rian Johnson, be fair. Wake Up Dead Man managed to sneak its way into my life. I completely forgot about it until earlier this month when I remembered it was dropping on Netflix. Then I forgot again because I don't really use Netflix anymore. Then I remembered the movie again because I saw a tweet about it. Then I forgot because who uses Twitter anymore? Then one day the film showed up on my TV, I sat down and I watched it, and I loved it. I don't want to sound like I think writing something like Wake Up Dead Man is easy, because it is not, but Rian Johnson makes it all look so effortless, spinning a deeply engaging tale that is just as much about organized religion and the criminal justice system as it is about our continued belief in these very institutions. Johnson once again pens a captivating murder mystery, this time focused on a group of quote-unquote religious people and their struggle to make sense of a seemingly impossible crime. The setup and following events are mostly what you would expect from a Knives Out film. I think if you've seen the first or second movie, you kind of know what you're going to get out of this movie going into it. We see Detective Blanc come closer and closer to the truth, but then something unexpected happens. In the middle of Benoit Blanc's attempt to crack this case, Johnson himself attempts to crack theology, or at least our understanding of it. Wake Up Dead Man features an ensemble cast of characters, each with their own struggles and reasons to believe. Money, power, relationships, these people may all believe in God, but they also have reasons for God to exist. Josh O'Connor's character, Judd Duplessis, yeah, that's his name, is a former boxer turned priest. He has a dark past, but unlike a lot of dramas, this isn't some deeply held secret. He's open about the fact that he has made mistakes. His priesthood is just as much about saving other people as it is himself. But this twisty-turny murder mystery takes a detour once Father Judd remembers he's here to help others, not solve crimes. There's this incredible moment where Judd takes a prayer request over the phone. I won't get into it too much because I think it's just worth experiencing for yourself in the movie. With as little background or context as possible, just go into it and watch it. But it's magical how much restraint Johnson shows here. He doesn't play the scene for laughs, there's no goofy or slick editing. He just lets the camera roll as Josh O'Connor does his thing. Sure, this is another silly pop culture referencing right-wing lampooning whodunit in the same vein as the first two Knives Out films, but Wake Up Dead Man really does feel like it's trying to say something. You can't have a church without faith. But faith without a community to share it with is just as pointless and also impossible. Faith also isn't something that's just for Christians, or in this case, Catholics. It's required of all of us every single day. You have faith that the police are there to serve and protect you, despite what social media says, the news, or even actual statistics. You have faith in your spouse or your partner that they're there for you no matter what. You have faith in your friends and family that they will reciprocate the energy you put into them. But oftentimes these relationships are uneven. Sure, we all believe that everyone wants and tries to do good. Believing is easy, but it takes faith to trust someone despite their actions or any concrete evidence that they can actually deliver on their promises. Rian Johnson did something very surprising and very cool for this third murder mystery outing, ditching the glamorous ensemble shenanigans of the first two Knives Out films in lieu of something much more subdued and deeply personal. I think framing a murder around a church congregation is a genius move and feels like the logical conclusion of the Knives Out franchise as a whole. Benoit Blanc is good at solving crime, but in the Knives Out series he has more in common with a priest than a hard-boiled detective. His goofy theatrics and charming swagger help people believe what he says, even if he's not so sure himself. Questioning oneself is a central theme in Wake Up Dead Man. Can we truly believe what we see with our own eyes? If not, does anything even matter? Being certain is another one of the main themes explored throughout Wake Up Dead Man. We see our characters struggle with their faith as well as their understanding of the world itself. How can you be certain of anything? Is there such a thing as an impossible crime? Do miracles actually happen? What does it mean to believe in God? What does it mean to have faith in our criminal justice system? Are these all the same thing? Do these matter? Above all else, get rid of any pretension, anything goofy that I'm saying. These are big words. I'm talking a lot about the movie. Disregard all of that. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is an incredibly entertaining and fun mystery film. And I have no problems calling it the best of the Knives Out movies. It's thoughtful, funny, pretty, and moving in a way I don't think anyone expected. It feels less like Johnson had the obligation to make a third murder mystery film for Netflix, and more like he was chomping at the bit to tell this deeply human story. I was totally shocked at what I was watching. I couldn't believe Johnson managed to make a Netflix film be this good. To quote my thoughts about Noah Baumbach's Jay Kelly, another 2025 release that surprised me, also another movie made for Netflix. Maybe I'm a sap and a sucker for falling for these emotional tricks. Maybe I'm just getting older. It's not every day that you get a filmmaker like Rian Johnson who is still willing to push himself and think outside the box or the coffin. The Knives Out movies work so well, especially Wake Up Dead Man, because Rian Johnson doesn't treat the audience like dummies. I'm not saying these mysteries are tough, but Johnson knows exactly where and when to dish out information and add context to the world he creates. In the original film, it's simply fun to watch these characters interact. In Glass Onion, Johnson plays with the very idea of mystery, deconstructing what would be a fairly simple murder mystery. In Wake Up Dead Man, Johnson essentially gives up the act completely. He knows we expect someone to die and a group of characters to try and solve it. Instead of playing the hits, Johnson crafts a stunning, introspective piece of work about organized religion, really society as a whole.
You know, we're living in a society,
and what it means to be a part of it. I can't believe how good this movie is and how good it turned out, and I suggest everyone go and watch it right now. I'm not quite sure what the future holds for the Knives Out series, but I would be happy if this was the end. It feels like a great note to leave it on, and I think Johnson explored what he wanted to. If he keeps making more, great. I just hope they go down the route of Wake Up Dead Man rather than Glass Onion.
Halle Berry. That has a kick.
I think what makes Rian Johnson and his movies so compelling is that he knows he's a little stinker. He takes great enjoyment out of poking fun at us and our institutions in a way that at times can feel corny, but in general get to something a lot of filmmakers miss. His movies, good or bad, are incredibly human. I said Wake Up Dead Man feels like the logical endpoint for the Knives Out series, but it also feels like the culmination of everything Rian Johnson has worked on throughout his career. It really is an amazing film, and I hope he's proud of it. Don't miss this one. Would have been nice to see this in the theater though. As always, you Netflix.